We're Erin and Paul, and over the last 5 months, we've built this beautiful Bearhawk 5 along with the Build Assist team here at Bearhawk Aircraft in Fairview, Oklahoma.
November 513 Echo Papa, affectionately named Tina. This plane can take off in 200 feet, land in 200 feet. It's 1,330 pounds useful load. Its max gross is 3,000 pounds and it cruises at 160 miles an hour. The stall is right around 40 miles an hour. We wanted a plane that can go fast and slow, and we found it in a Bearhawk 5.
And that's what we've built over the past 5 months. Paul and I are not builders though, so we're gonna come from the Build Assist side and what we got to be a part of, what we got to choose for our plane, and also our experience with Bearhawk and the Build Assist here in Oklahoma.
We got to make this plane our own throughout the whole process. Anything from paint scheme to controller design to even our camera mounts and how we interact with our cameras because we record full time. This entire process has been phenomenal and we want to share all of those details with you guys. So let's start over here. All right, so starting from the nose, we have a Hartzell 3-blade Trailblazer propeller. She is 83 inches. Man, when Erin and I pulled it out of the box and we were holding it up, this girl is massive. It's a composite propeller, so it can always be repaired. There's a lot of really cool nitty-gritty things about it that make this super unique. First of all, it is adjustable in the field, which Virgil talked about that a little bit on our last video, so go look at it up here.
I don't know if I know how to like insert that.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I can show you.
Paul, insert.
So this propeller is a beast in short takeoff and also fast cruise. Powering this propeller, we have a Lycoming 580 B1A. This is a 315 horsepower, naturally aspirated, horizontally opposed. This engine was actually pretty cool. It has 300 hours on it. So Erin and I took it to Alabama and we had an IRAN done on it because of some past history in the engine. But that meant that Erin and I actually got to pull it apart and be a part of the process putting it back together. So that was a really, really cool, unique experience that we got to participate in on this build.
Also, a little bit of why we did that. It's really, really hard if you're looking to build a plane to get your hands on an engine. A lot of time the wait lists and wait time is like months, years long. And with us wanting to get her done in somewhat of a timely manner, we started to really consider buying a used engine. Yeah, if you are looking to build your own plane and you're having a hard time sourcing something and you need something on somewhat of a timely manner, it could be a good opportunity to find something used and have a really quality shop like Airworks. Check your girl out.
All right, so this is pretty much a stock Lycoming 580. There's nothing crazy going on here. The only things that we changed up is we have dual E-mags on it. We have a remote oil filter, which will be nice for oil changes. The other customizations on the engine were custom oil and fuel hoses, which Aircraft Specialty helped us with. They're actually custom molded for our engine. The length, the sizing, they're lifetime hoses, which the fuel system is under pressure. So if you were to ever spring a leak, that fuel can spray in the engine compartment, which super dangerous, engine fire, there you go. And these hoses are specifically made for our engine compartment with fire housing around them, so that should never happen. And those are lifetime warranted hoses. The guys here at Bearhawk have really started branching into 3D printing into all elements of the plane, not only the interior, like finishing touches, but also now in the engine compartment. So when we talk about the plenum or airflow onto the oil cooler, they're actually 3D printing in nylon now to establish appropriate flow of air. And that's been an awesome process to watch. When a modification is needed, they can just go into Fusion really fast, whip up something new, print it, and within a few hours, that new prototype is in the engine compartment and we're able to start testing. The airflow from the back of the engine goes into this duct right here, and this housing is nylon. Also, directly on top of the oil cooler right here is nylon, and that's all 3D printed here at Bearhawk. So as Aaron mentioned, we've been able to be a part of a lot of this process and do more than a lot of builders in the build assists have been able to do, and one of those things is wiring. And I'll get into the wiring of the panel and everything here in a second, but while we're up here, I'll point out some stuff. We have a full engine monitoring system from Garmin, and you can see some of those wires going into our engine right here. So this was the very first wire harness that Aaron and I put together back in the shop with Peter, and all these yellow wires actually go into the main avionics, come out through the firewall, and then lead into our engine here. So we have cylinder head temperatures, we have exhaust gas temperatures, and that was a really cool process to actually see where we're getting the data from, how it all connects into the engine, and then interact it with it in the G3X screens in the plane. So the tires are Desser 31s. We went with these because Aaron and I will be on and off field, and we want to be able to land on pavement just as much as we land on grass and unimproved. And Dessers have better lifetime on more improved surfaces like concrete. For our wheels and brakes, dude, I'm stoked about these. These are so clean. Not only do they look beautiful, but they're actually pretty custom to our plane. So these are the Beringer 10-inch wheels. But on the brake side of things, which these are just their standard wheels, on the brake side of things, they actually went back to the drawing board and custom made an entirely new brake setup for this plane that's never been on this. We actually have the prototypes on our plane right now, and they are a dual-caliper, dual-puck setup. Basically what that means is we have 4 brake pads on each tire. All other brakes that have been on the Bearhawk 5 in the past have only been a single caliper dual puck, so 2 brake pads each side, and now we have 4 each side. Initially, right when they put them on, they were asking, is it too much brakes? Is it okay? And what we found is actually, it is the amount of stopping power that this plane needs, especially when she's heavy. So when we load her down closer to max gross of the 3,000 pounds, we found that this is an appropriate amount of stopping power, and it gives us the grab that we still need. Another thing, in their brake system, they have different master cylinders on our toes, and instead of it just being all on and off based on how we're pressing the brake, it's a gradual input, and so we actually can do less to more brake. I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully that makes sense, is like, as we put on the brakes, it's gradual on instead of just on or off, which the other master cylinders that have been on Bearhawk 5s in the past have pretty much just been on or off. So we've been loving these brakes, and I'm excited to get more and more time on them and get more numbers to you guys, because I don't have good numbers of like, oh, it's improved our performance by X amount. What I can tell you though is the feel of them is definitely improved from the other brake systems that we've had on past Bearhawk 5s, and they just look good. I mean, look at them. Oh my gosh. As we come out here, we have some avionics things. Our entire plane is a hard IFR platform, so heated angle of attack pitot probe, and then our outside air temperature. Keep walking around, we're getting into some fun stuff here. I don't want to talk about it quite yet, we'll come back to this, but this whole setup I am stoked about. The amount of time that has gone into forward thinking on our camera setup has been silly, but it worked out, and we're really, really happy with how it turned out.
You're so stoked you almost happy danced.
I did.
All right, back to the walk around.
For lights, we went with the Prometheus 36 by Watt. We actually have some other lights that we're gonna be installing very shortly that I'm really excited about. But this is what we have on right now, and they're powerful, they're super bright, they look amazing. On our nav lights, this is something that I didn't realize. So I've always flown like Piper Cherokees, Piper Warriors, Cessna 172s. We always have a beacon on the back, we have a tail light with strobes, and this is kind of an all-in-one solution, so we don't have to have those on our plane. So we only have our landing lights in these, and it completely satisfies everything that we need. So we have our strobes, we have our nav lights, and we have anti-collision all in one. Yeah, these are pretty cool little pieces of hardware. It's lighter weight, it still does everything you need. You're still super visible in the sky. Like when we flew into Oshkosh, they even noticed our wigwag, and it was just very bright. Like, it is so obvious that we are where we are. So something special about our wigwags, we actually don't need a wigwag module. We were able to actually program it into our avionics, the timing between the wigwags. So no additional weight on a wigwag module. We were able to just like time it in.
So Evoke Aircraft ended up helping us design our paint scheme. Autumn was our designer and she absolutely crushed it. When we started working with them about 2 to 3 months before our build, we basically came to her at the drawing board and said, we want simplistic, we want modern, and we want outdoorsy. And that's like really the only framework we gave her. And finally, a couple months into working with Autumn, Paul and I randomly found this Ford Bronco that we were obsessed with. She gave us a ton of different options. She tweaked a ton of different things for us. And we finally landed on this one. Between the colors, between the retro stripes, between the little Aaron and Paul details all over, she absolutely crushed it. The fabric system we ended up using for our plane is AirTech, and all the color on our plane is vinyl. So the base coat is paint, and Virgil did that, and all the color is vinyl. And Peter Mackenzie, I'll put that up.
Another option on the 5s is the type of door. They have 2 different styles. They have one that are the seaplane door, where the entire door from here to here opens up this way. Gives you really good access. Or you can do this double door thing where you can actually open up the window, you can taxi around with that open, then you have this bottom door. I think it gives a really fun old Bronco vibe to it, especially with the low back chairs and everything. We were also really happy with these because of the airflow while you're taxiing. To be able to pop open that window, we can take these off, we can potentially fly with these off in flight. The reason we can't fly with these open is because we have these gas struts. This really nice like open. Other Bearhawks actually have a way to lock them open in flight. But this bird goes so fast as it is. The question we asked is like, would you really be able to fly around with them open in flight anyway? Because you're cruising at like easily 120, 140 miles an hour, and that's like comfy, that's leaned out. You're going slow at that point, and these are usually rated for like 110 miles an hour. Realistically, probably not gonna have them open in flight anyway, so put the gas struts on and it makes it cleaner while you're on the ground.
So this door is really cool, but let me go show you the door that really makes this 5. This door is actually insane, and one of the reasons why we fell in love with Bearhawk, the fact that it can open up to be this big is mind-blowing. We've seen people put in a ton of different mountain bikes to take them on other adventures because it can open up so big. It also is a 6-seat aircraft, so you can put 2 additional seats in the back. Paul and I only have 4 seats in here because we probably won't be using the 2 additional seats that much, but we are going to be using this space quite a bit. And later this week or next week, depending on timing, we're going to be adding L-track into the back of our plane because we're going to be turning it into a modular camper setup. So that over the next 1.5 to 2 years, we are going to be living on the road, and we will be able to put like a kitchen setup in if we are going to camp somewhere for an extended period of time, and take it out if we want to have more fuel or more weight for long cross countries. And so the fact that we are able to have this space is insane and huge. And we're actually gonna be taking out these 2 seats as we travel the US.
So the Bearhawk comes with aluminum floorboards, but Aaron and I splurged a little bit. We got a hold of the guys up at Carbon Concepts in Alaska, and we had them actually make our floorboards for us. So they were able to source carbon fiber and send it down to us in sheets, the width of our aircraft. And then once they got down here, Virgil cut them all down to size with a custom CNC file, which was actually pretty fun because he did all the hard work and then Aaron just went up and pressed the button. So, you know, Aaron made the floorboards, right? But they turned out so beautiful. The carbon fiber, it's stunning, it's pristine, and the grain is just, it's perfect. It's definitely not something we could do on our own. So really, really happy with them. Oh, something else that I didn't even mention. There's all these little accessories that they've 3D printed, like this door handle right here. That's 3D printed and it's beautiful. There's all these finishes all over that Virgil and the crew make.
The seats are actually custom made by a girl here in Fairview. You don't realize how much detail goes into a seat. You think it's just the color, and it's also like the colored stitching. What pattern do you want on here? What color stitching do you want for the pattern or for the logo? And yeah, we ended up putting the Bearhawk logo on, doing a double stitch diamond and making the double stitch a lighter cream green color versus the dark brown for the logo. And we ended up loving that. Paul's one request for the plane was that Hooker harnesses be in here because his last name's Hooker, but also I think he's just a funny guy and wanted Hooker on his chest in general. Another decision that we were making prior to starting the build here was our grips, and we ended up working with Pioneer Control Grips. Skylar is awesome. He owns the company there, and about a month or two prior to us coming out here to Oklahoma, he ended up mailing us plastic grips as examples of what the feel was for the different designs he had. We ended up picking the designs that were one for a left hand, one for a right hand, based off of where you're sitting in the plane, if you're left seat or right seat, but he also had universal ones. I ended up liking the universal one at first more than the left or right because my hand didn't fit well around the left or right for where the button placement was going to be. When I told him that that was the one reason why I liked the universal one better, he told me he could custom make it so that it was smaller and fit my hand better. So we ended up going with the left and right grips. He custom made it to fit my hand better. It still fits Paul's hand great. And then we also got to pick what buttons we want on there and in which placement. Also, when we got shipped the grips in the mail, he ended up mailing out a map to help with the wiring. And that made it super easy for Paul to wire it together. And it took all the guesswork kind of out of it.
So one of the features in our plane that I have been most excited for is actually such a little thing in the grand scheme, but it's big for us. It's how we interact with our cameras in flight. I think it was January or February of our build. We kind of went back to the drawing board because Insta360 came out with a brand new feature. What we used to have to do, and what most people have to do, when you run a camera on the outside of your plane, you have to either start it on the ground and just hit record. Then you're risking, running out of battery or running out of memory if you have power to it, or you have to connect to it in flight through an app on your phone, and you risk that disconnecting. Like so many flights, we'd have a remote or it's connected to our phone and we just lose connection and we couldn't get the shot we wanted. This feature came out, it's called Quick Capture, and it's on their two newest cameras, their Ace Pro 2 and their Insta360 X5, which is their 360 camera. And this feature turns on the camera and starts recording when power goes to it, and turns it off and stops recording when power cuts off. So what that means for us is now when I press these two buttons, all of our cameras inside and out turn on and start recording. And when I turn it off, they stop recording. It's been a game changer. Like now all of our footage is synced up. This is getting geeky, I'm sorry. So when we import our footage to our computers, it's all lined up already and it makes editing way easier. It also allows us to make sure we always get that shot we want and not miss something like landing on the yellow dot at Oshkosh. We're really, really excited for all the time to come and all of the moments we get to capture with such a simple but very practical feature for us. So while we're talking about all of our cameras, let me show you what we did with our power and our mounts. So up under here, we actually have a GSB 15 from Garmin, they're dual USB-C ports. We can just pop this cover off and then we can plug into these USB-C ports. These are controlled by those buttons inside. So onto our mounts. So these are by 67 Designs. My understanding of the story is there was somebody that reached out to them that was like, hey, I need really strong mounts for my plane. And 67 Designs this last year actually created this specific mount for experimental planes. This mount, it's an L bracket that actually attaches into a rib or the strut itself on your aircraft. So we were able to mount this L bracket into our rib. We did a backer plate reinforcement, and now we have something that's super strong to carry our, look at this. I'm moving the entire plane by it. Super strong to carry our cameras. So we can do a boom, or we can just put one single camera on here and it's not going anywhere. When you do have a boom mount, you have a lever. And so when you go further out, even just with a little bit of weight, it's amplified the amount of force that this wing is receiving. So I'm really, really happy with the strength of these and that we can be confident that we're not going to be damaging our wing or damaging a camera or losing a camera in flight, especially at the high airspeeds that we fly at in this plane.
Another feature we're super excited about is where our Limo plugs plug into. Our plane is the first plane to have this, and why we love it is it's recessed. There's also a drain hole at the bottom so that if anyone were to spill a liquid mid-flight, your limo plugs aren't sitting in it. Because it's recessed too, we're not worried about anyone stepping on the limo plugs or breaking it. Paul actually came up with the idea, and Peter, with his magical 3D printer, ended up printing it and made this design for us. Looking at doing limo plug options, the other idea that we had been given was taking up a lot of the passenger's foot space. So the fact that a passenger can sit here and not have to worry about stepping on the limo plugs, but also have their foot space back is just a game changer. We're really trying to be conscious of like how every inch of our space is used because we're about to be on the road full time.
Something that's really important to us is, one, we don't want a bunch of cords everywhere. As we started wiring the interior of the plane, we decided to bring our GSB 15 power ports underneath the seat. We wired it on a separate circuit, so these are always on. They're not on the same circuit as the cameras, so Aaron and I can always power our phones or iPads, whatever. We kept them under here, so all the cables are gone. They're no longer on the dash, they're just under here. One other thing, a last minute add, as we wired the panel, we wired it to have audio out for our cameras up top, and I totally forgot that, hey, half of what we do is on Instagram, and we probably need some audio for our phones. So at 2 a.m. ad, the week before Oshkosh, I wired in a full another port to plug in our phone. So right down here on the passenger side, we have another audio port that we can actually plug in our phones. Everything's to keep the whole panel really clean and clear and keep wires out of our way. These are the things you can do in experimental aviation that you don't necessarily get in certified world, is we get to make this exactly how we want it for us. And that has been incredible. There's a couple things in this panel before we get too deep into the avionics that really set this panel apart that have never been done before on an aircraft. So all these buttons are CAN bus keypads that tie in to a device in the back that is a digital power controller. It's a PDM-28 by Hardwire Electronics out of the UK. These are typically in race cars or automotive, and we've brought them in to this panel. It's a Bearhawk special that we've actually been able to program, and now we have 0 circuit breakers in this plane. All of our circuit breakers are digital, 0 analog circuit breakers in our plane, no switches. What's amazing about this system is we have more power outputs and higher outputs than other systems that are similar on the market right now. This has been a lot of fun to work with, and it gives us a lot of customization ability in the future. Like, for example, if I wanted this interior power button to switch to something else, all I do is plug my computer into this hardware in the back, and I can reprogram this switch to do something else, like turn on the left landing light if I wanted, or something like that. They have fault modes that turn the buttons red, so that's how we kind of see our faults. But that right there is how all the power goes to the entire plane. They offer this exact panel to all future builders now, so you can actually get exactly what we have in your plane with that special equipment. So that's pretty cool. All right, now to the beautiful screens that we have in front of us. So we have dual G3Xs. We have a Garmin 750XI. We have a GFC 500 autopilot, 3-axis, dual G5s, and some fun things that we tossed on top as well. We have an angle of attack, and we have the GHA 15 height advisor. So it calls out it does like audible calls of how high we are above the ground. So we actually see 500 AGL below on our screens and audibly, which it's just like cheating. With all of these different technologies, it's not just one thing that I love about this panel. It's all of these different things bringing us a safer platform as we go backcountry. Also really nice going from a G5 to a G3X. We actually see the same strips. So a lot of the things that we saw in the G5 and what we got used to, it's just bigger now, but it's familiar. And so the transition from one panel to the next is really, really nice in this as well. This is a fully hard IFR setup. So Aaron and I both are instrument rated pilots, and we're excited to get back into IFR flying in a different way than we've seen before. That'll take some leaning into, like we'll definitely gradually get back into that, but we're pumped for that. It's because we don't have tangible circuit breakers, we built in a switch for our autopilot. So when we turn on everything, the autopilot doesn't actually turn on yet until I press this one autopilot button. And when I press the autopilot button, now you can see the entire autopilot lights up and turns on and now we have the autopilot functioning. So we'll work from this side over, and I just want to walk you through the panel. So over here we have alternate air, defrost, heat, and the parking brake. And these are all pull cables. We have one G5, we have one CAN bus, which is mirrored on the other side. G3X, 750 XI, the GFC 500. We have McFarlane control cables here. All three have Vernier throttles. Vernier is basically, you can tighten this up to control the pressure that you can push in and out. So as I tighten it, it locks it down so it won't move. And as I loosen it, it becomes looser so I can actually push in and out the throttle. We have the other G3X, another, as I said, mirrored CAN bus. And then over here, we have the ignitions, the master, the backup battery, and the engine start. So that's our entire panel. We have autopilot, fuel transfer. So that's our actual fuel transfer from our auxes into our mains. Pitot heat, keypad dimmer that just dims all of the switches. And then we have our two buttons for interior and exterior power to our cameras. And on this side, we have our ELT. Up on top of the dash though, we have a full setup for audio and power for our camera. And the power is connected to this switch. So when that power comes on, power is supplied to this camera. But it's been really nice to have it so clean up here where we only have the two cables and we don't have excess. I also love that I was able to help with the wiring of everything, because as we continue to grow in content or in our backcountry flying, there may be something I want to change in the future. Like I've already modified the audio coming to our cameras. And by knowing how all the wiring was done, I was able to pull this screen out, this G3X, I just pulled it out and I got up in the back and I started rewiring, and I actually rewired some stuff for this camera. That's been interesting to actually have the confidence to go in and do some modifications to your own aircraft. It gives you the ability to actually be inventive and create something new that works for you. So that's been really empowering. I genuinely cannot believe that we're standing here right now 5 months after this build started. Like, it feels like 2 weeks ago we were driving along I-40 coming out here to Fairview, and now we have a plane sitting right behind us completed. Pretty darn surreal.
Yeah, truly. If you've been a part of this like whole journey, YouTube's been brand new. This plane is obviously brand new. Thank you so much for being here. We've felt community here on YouTube that we did not anticipate in such a short period of time. Yeah. So if you are new here, like, welcome, like and subscribe. We have so many more plans coming with Tina. We're gonna be building out the back of her to be a camper plane, and yeah, I don't know if there is another camper plane out there. So this will be a fun journey.
It will be. We have a lot of plans for it, and we're super pumped to show you guys what we have in store for the back of her. If you guys have ever been in the comments, thank you, because it's been fun to get to know you guys and start to build relationships. So thank you guys for that.
We'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you guys next week. As I wave again.